All right. By the way, this is 301. I made that just 300 last week, even though it was a long one. So.
Okay.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
For episode 301, we are into our next round.
All right.
Ready to start 300 more, right?
Yeah. Why not? There's a lot of good beer out there.
That's right. Today we're going to be discussing a random flight of things. I'm interested to hear some of the stuff that Sean has got to share with us today because we were discussing before the show.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some secrets to changing a little bit of a few lines of your copy just on the outside of your mailer or the inside or your web page.
Yeah.
To up your conversion rate and some other things as well. So
yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Navy SEALs.
Navy SEALs. All right. They get all the glory nowadays, right?
Exactly. And why is that? That's what we're going to ask. You know, we don't necessarily have the answers, but we're going to ask the question. ChatGPT 4 came out this week.
That's right.
If you're on the pro version, then you have access to it probably.
Mm-hmm.
Today's St. Patrick's Day as we're recording.
That's right.
So I got a little trivia stat on that one.
Okay.
And then I've got some interesting observations about action hero names. I've never even thought about this, but it was in the email I get from charter.com, which is the chart people. And then I went to an event this week, and I want to share a little bit of like pre-event marketing they do on their Instagram page that was really smart. At least I think it's marketing. I don't think it's.
No, I think it is. I think it is. It's what we call. I think it's takeaway. You can call it takeaway selling. That's what I call it. But
yeah,
we'll
for
get
sure.
into that.
So yeah, we got a lot to cover. A lot of fun. Just kind of random. We'll be bouncing all over the place.
Yep.
So yeah. So what do we have to drink on this St. Paddy's Day?
Oh yeah.
Nothing Irish.
Nothing green in the bottle today, Sean.
No.
I didn't want to taint this with food coloring or anything like that.
Yeah, could have got a. I mean, the best beers, food coloring wouldn't matter. So it's like,
that's right.
You know, it's like. Yeah. Have you ever been down to Savannah, Georgia, when they dye the river green? Have you heard?
No,
there?
never.
Or Chicago, or I think they both do it. Yeah, they Savannah used to. I don't know if they still do it, you know, with all the stuff, but they used to dye the river green down in Savannah, Georgia.
I can imagine.
So yeah, it's weird, but hey. So here's an interesting fact right before we get into the beers. There are now in the U.S. 33 million people of Irish descent. Now, what's interesting is there was only 5 million people in Ireland. So U.S. Irish people have outnumbered actual Irish people by 6 times. So,
and that's just, you know, if you got a little partial,
right?
quarter percent Irish, you know, that you're in.
Right. It's fun. I've got 2 or 3 people that I'm working with right now, coaching with, and they're from Ireland and they've got the accent and everything. Tell you what, some of them are hard to understand, man. I have to slow them down.
Absolutely.
That accent is thick.
Right.
And I'm like, are you sure you're speaking English? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you said you had a good beer today.
I did.
On St. Paddy's Day.
I'm excited. I think you'll like this one. Okay. Got another one from Boulevard Brewing Company.
Okay.
And this one is called the Stuff of Legend.
Like that name.
Now, Sean, I know that, and I know the reason I know you're going to like this one. Yeah, I know, 13 fruits. That's not why you're going to like it.
Okay.
I think you're going to like it because look at the front. You like stuffed Oreos, right?
Oh, yes.
And so immediately when I saw that, I see the Oreo cookie on the front.
I did not catch that at first, but yes.
So I
even the O in Boulevard, they changed.
I know to an Oreo, to the Oreo cookie. Yeah. So so this one is this beer is our homage to all of those wonder-filled cookies. While you can't twist, lick, or dunk, they're still fun to be had in this big barrel aged stout with just the right blend of chocolate, vanilla, and creamy filling of lactose.
All right. Wow.
And let's see, 13, as you mentioned earlier, 13.3%.
Yeah.
And 32 IBUs. So
yeah, should be pretty mild and smooth, I would think.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm in the same category, I think, with you this week. So I have got it's from Three Nations Brewing, and it's part of their Devour series. They actually have 4 different things in the Devour series. So they've got a chocolate macadamia nut, a creme brulee, Mexican chocolate, and a marzipan. We are going today with the Imperial Stout creme brulee. And it's this brew is filled with notes of toffee, chocolate, caramel, vanilla, and roasted coffee. A beer devoted to our calling, divine taste, true to tradition. It says available in the fall. I found it probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Just hadn't gotten around to it yet. 8.3%, 25 IBUs, and kind of a cool little crazy can.
Yeah, I like that.
Some kind of Aztec monster or something on it. I don't know what it is, but
it's like your second creme brulee in like the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to. They must have put them on the end of the aisles so they can get rid of them because they're going out of season, getting into IPA season.
That's right.
Oh, it's gonna be a long summer.
I know.
Have to find
hey,
some good
we'll
loggers.
Keep stocking up. As long as they're on the shelf, we'll take them.
Yeah, maybe find some good loggers out there.
Yeah, right.
So
we're not in any hurry.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's cheers it up and then.
All right. Cheers.
Ooh, that's good. What is that?
Oh, man.
So I definitely taste a little, what is that? That's the caramel, I guess, or the roast. Yeah, I'm getting a little of everything. The toffee, the chocolate, it's actually, all these things are, it's like a taste orgy in my mouth.
Wow.
I got to be careful with that description, huh?
I never rate these for children on YouTube.
Yeah, no. So that's pretty good. How about yours? I'll give my rating here in a second.
Man, this is amazing. This is getting. It's got at the very minimum, it's a 4.8.
Uh-oh.
I don't think we've given a 5 this year.
It's been a while. We got close a couple times.
I don't think we've given a 5 year. This is probably the closest I've been to giving 5 pints in 2023.
All right. Well, you think about it. I'm going to give my score before you come to your final answer. I'm going to give this a 4.75. Like it's good. It's interesting. It's actually got kind of a dry finish for an imperial stout.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the coffee, the roasted coffee comes through. So it's really, really good. I'll give it a 4.75.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great score. Well, I'm going to stop short of the 5. I'm going to give it a 4.9. If we were doing triple digits, I would do a 4.95.
Okay.
There's
no rules on this show.
I feel like I've got to hold back something there.
Okay.
But it's so good. It is so good. I can't find anything wrong.
Uh-oh. Maybe you should.
All right, here we go. I'm giving it a 5. 5 pints.
All right. Yes.
The Stuff of Legend. Hey, with a name like that, you deserve a 5.
Yeah, it's a great name. Yeah. Great play on words. Yeah, I'm going to have to go.
This is amazing.
I'm going to have to go down to the old Total Wine and see if I can find that one.
Limited. It is. You better go quick because it is limited release. But that's amazing. That's the best so far. That's the best one I've had from Boulevard.
Especially for that high of alcohol content.
I know.
Usually they get sicky sweet at that level. So
yeah, it's not too sweet at all. In my opinion. It's
So
very
I'm
good.
gonna have to go to Total Wine and then stop at HEB and get some Oreos as well. Now I'm wanting Oreos.
And I don't know, maybe it's the who knows, I don't know what offsets the sweetness in this. Let me
Yeah.
look and see, but that was my first impression when I saw 13.3.
Yeah.
This might be a little too sweet, but nope.
Well,
Not at all.
let's kick off the show. I'll start with I went to a breathwork event this week,
Yes.
and I saw an Instagram ad about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Mhm.
I've been wanting to try breathwork. If you're not familiar with breathwork, there's all different kinds, but it's a kind of a niche in personal development and things right now.
Does yelling at your teenagers, does that count as breath work?
I guess it kind of could. You're getting stuff out, so that's probably good. Better than holding it in, I guess. Now they might need breath work because of the trauma you caused them. But yeah, the idea is breath work is there to kind of release trauma
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
stored in your body. There's a famous book, The Body Keeps the Score, that talks about how trauma gets trapped in your body.
Mhm.
And breath work is just deep breathing at different rhythms. Wim
Right.
Hof is probably the most popular guy
Mhm.
around right now
Mhm.
that does breath work. But this guy that I went to he's going to a different city every day, and he's having 150 to 300 people show up. So like he's
It's
really
crazy.
growing fast.
Yeah.
But so I saw it and I'd been wanting to try breath work. So when the ad came up, I went ahead and I bought for the event here in Austin. And then I was like, oh, I should probably check this guy out now that I bought a ticket. And isn't that funny? Yeah, kind of went backwards. So I go to his Instagram page, and there's this 3 sets of pinned posts on the top of his Instagram, and the middle one says, on black background with orange type, please read before coming to my event. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'll
Yeah.
do that. Open it up, and it says on the left, it's got like a video where it's typing out. But here's basically
Mhm.
what it said. And this is just great copy, great marketing, whether you bought a ticket yet or not. My sessions are not for everyone. I
Mm.
intentionally post videos where people are screaming and crying to attract people that resonate with it, who need to move that heavy, stagnant energy out of their life.
Mhm.
There is usually around 250 to 300 people. It's loud, chaotic, very heavy energy for the majority of the session. If you are not mentally prepared to lean into your fears and deep wounds, please start with your local yoga studio, breathworks, free pranayamas, YouTube exercises, Wim Hof, Joe Dispenza. This is not a group meditation. It is an extremely intense healing session, and you're not coming to lay down and wait until I heal you. I'm not there to heal you. You come to heal yourself, and it takes some work.
Wow.
Honestly, please think multiple times before getting your ticket. Some people feel incredible right after the event, and some will have a hard time for the next few days because
Wow.
there's a lot to take on. Your body might be sore, you might be tired, but in the long run, you will realize how much crap has moved out of has moved up out of you once and for good. And
Mhm.
please do not come if you have any underlying conditions listed on my event pages. You will not have a good time. It might even be dangerous for you and the people around you.
Wow. That's
I
good.
I don't need you to like me or how I do things, and I really don't have the time to argue with anyone to prove anything. Everything I do is highly intentional, and it has helped tens of thousands of people. And I was like, that is just
That's
brilliant
great.
marketing right there. Um, so I was like, after I read, I'd already bought my ticket. So after I read it, I was like, oh, because this is the first one I'd ever done. I hadn't done the Wim Hof, or I'd heard of those things.
Yeah.
And this was like 2 solid hours of doing this intense breath work. So it was wild.
So there's a couple of things going on there. Can you put that screenshot
Yeah.
back up again? Because in the original, like the original not that one, but the original layout page.
Yeah.
A couple of things I see when I go to this page that intrigue me. This can't be real. Like that goes against that kind of like gets me curious, right? This can't this can't be real. So he's already answering the questions that I have in my mind already when I hear something like this.
Yeah, and the video that plays is like a snapshot of all the people lined up, all the people at the event, like all
Yeah,
this other stuff.
sure.
Which adds credibility. Like you see all
Mhm.
these different rooms filled with people who have
Right.
come to his event, got the different cities listed on it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so that's really well done. It's like, oh, okay. Um, and then the one we just did, please read before coming, and then more proof, more testimonial.
Social proof for 40,000 participants.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so
The
it's like,
to me, that's, we talked about it before. To me, that's takeaway selling.
mhm,
Read this before, because
yeah,
not everyone's a candidate for this. And
yeah.
so,
Yeah, and this
what,
post
what,
here is like it's showing people screaming, it's showing people crying, just like he said in the post. So it's
right,
like, ooh, I don't know, that seems a little intense to me.
right.
So it does pull in a person that's ready to play all out, play at a full level.
Sure.
Um, and then of course he's got a lot of that stuff sprinkled through his pages, but I do like how he pinned those at the
Oh, I
top
do too. I
very
think that,
intentionally.
yep, absolutely. And then creating, that effect of what's going on.
Hmm.
When you clicked on read this before coming to the event, like
Yeah,
if you've got certain health issues, it reminds me of to me, it builds interest. Like,
yeah,
ooh, there's a little bit of, you know, danger involved here,
yeah,
something that, I mean, you're doing something intentionally, that's not just, it's just not willy nilly. I mean, there's like something to think about. You have to be completely invested. It's kind of like the Hitchcock thing we were talking about at one time, where you know, he kind of let people know not to come to this movie if you have a
right.
heart condition.
Yeah, too scary, right? Or I think there's some theme parks that do that with certain rides too. It's
Yeah,
like,
right. Absolutely. So
so
I
yeah.
think all of that's intentional,
Oh
like to
yeah,
build interest and um, obviously build intrigue. I mean, he's done a fantastic job. So, where was the event?
I was here in Austin at the airport Hilton. So
Yeah.
the airport right
Okay.
next to the the hotel right next to the airport.
Right.
Yeah, it was good. So he was in San Antonio the night before that. They went to Dallas after, and like he's just making a swing out to the Northwest and back to California. So he'll do like 20 cities in a row and then take a
Hmm.
break, and then he'll do the circuit again.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, he's seeing 150 to 300 people every night. Um, that he's on his little tour. So
Sure.
it's pretty wild. He's
And
big.
if you don't mind me asking, what's the price per person?
It's like 120 bucks.
Oh yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
it's not bad for a two or
low
3 hour
threshold.
that type event.
Is there
Um,
any upselling after the event, or is it? I
Not
mean,
really. He has a course on his page, but he didn't
okay.
he didn't push it that hard. He did, he said it was available. One thing he did that was pretty cool is at the event he handed out this little workbook/journal,
Hmm.
and you took the first 10 minutes and you answered some questions, kind of how you feel now, why you're here, what's important to you, set your intention. And then afterward, he also had 10 minutes um, where he asked you some of the same questions just so you could see the difference in how you felt, which
Yeah.
I thought was really smart.
Right.
And then it has like you take it home and it's got like a week's worth of stuff to do after the event
Mm.
to help you integrate. Like it has a coloring book in it, so you can like color and like maybe stay off social media and actually color and do something you know
Sure. Yeah.
that's more physical.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's pretty cool that he had that tool there too. But he gives you a couple free downloads afterwards that you can use. But yeah, he does have a course. But yeah, he
Hmm.
didn't really push it. He definitely could have pushed it harder, but I don't think he needs to. I think people that want that, they'll go find it
Right. Right.
on his site because it's right there on his site. So it's not like it's hidden or anything. So,
Sure.
but yeah, it's a cool story too. Like he's former professional basketball player. Um, he was paralyzed from his waist down for a while, and not because
Mhm.
of basketball, because of emotional trauma. Like one of his parents died. His um, fiance at the time had a miscarriage and then just disappeared on him
Yeah.
when that happened. And
Oh my
then
gosh.
he had torn his groin really bad. And between those 3 events all happened in the same like 2 or 3 week span.
Right.
He literally became paralyzed from his waist down.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like that for a while. And then somebody told him about breath work,
Yeah.
and that's what allowed him to start walking again.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild. So now he
What
goes
a
around and
story.
teaches it. Yeah, and he spent like a year in the one of the jungles doing ayahuasca and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
And now he's like, yeah, the medicine's great, plant medicines, things like that. He said, but really all you need is your breath.
Wow.
So, and it was intense. I mean,
Mhm.
tingling, like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I'll have to get the link to that. See where
Yeah.
his next events are.
Yeah, he's heading west right now, so you'll have to wait probably for the East Coast swing.
Sure.
My guess is he won't come to Knoxville, but he'll probably come to Atlanta
Nashville.
or
Yeah.
Nashville or one of those two.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I'm sure he's been to Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. So what do you got over there? I know you had some cool stuff from one of our former guests.
Yes. Yeah. So always love our buddy Kevin Donlin. He's been on the show before. So, if you're on Kevin's list, he sends you the physical newsletter every month, like in the mail, which I love, because rarely do I have time to read all of the, some of the, email stuff that we get, even though it's good, I'm on Ben Settle's list. I love his stuff, but I just don't, because you're just inundated with so much stuff. I sometimes just glance at, well, I can't help but read Kevin's stuff because it comes in the mail and he puts it in an envelope, single page, two-sided. But his letter this month really caught my attention for a couple of reasons, and I'm going to share it here. Let's see. It's called, by the way, the title of his letter. Oh, let me change this, share this tab. He calls it AHA, Simple Profitable Marketing Ideas. And if you go over to his website, which we've featured on here before, we'll post a link where people can subscribe and reach out to him and get on his mailing list. It's free, so here we
Might as
go.
well.
Simple profitable marketing ideas for presidents and founders. So this one, this month was entitled, Are You Turning Away Buyers? So there's a couple of things.
You're not
I
sharing. Go
mentioned
ahead
one
and
before
share.
the show. What's that?
I said you're not sharing, so go ahead.
Oh, I'm not. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, let's see. Here we go. There we go. It says, Are you turning away buyers? There's a couple of things that we were talking about before the show, one that I highlighted and then one that caught your interest. So we'll start with the first one, Sean, because this one caught your attention. And this is a great one. Simply changing the word on a web page. And here's an example. He says one of his clients, a $25 billion retailer, required new customers to click register before making a purchase. The web designers assumed that buyers wouldn't mind creating an account, but they were wrong. They studied the website and found that requiring them to register turned a number of people off.
Yeah, it sounds very official.
That's right. You got to do something. It's
it
work.
sounds like a license or
That's
sounds
right.
very governmental.
So they changed one simple word, that register, to a continue button, and that let people buy as guests without creating an account. So what happened? Sales surged by 45%, gaining for a gain of 15 million in 30 days and 300 million in more than the first year alone. So it's amazing what one little tweak like that can do for your business. Register.
That is crazy. $300 million a year by changing. Wow.
And so here's another example. He talks about one of his clients who had he was doing acquiring new customers for his pet stores with a direct mail piece, and it was doing okay. So here's the title of one the headline on the outside of one of his mailers. said free gift card enclosed, open immediately. So not bad,
Yeah.
it's kind of intriguing, gift card enclosed. But one thing that Kevin noted is he rewrote it from a buyer's perspective, which is what this is all about, is really kind of tuning into what your buyer's interest is.
Right.
So he rewrote it, giving them an emotionally compelling reason to open the envelope. So here's I'm going to zoom in on this. Whoops, too much. Free $21. I thought it was kind of interesting that he used $21 because I've never seen a $21 gift card.
Right. Yeah. It's usually $20 or yeah.
So there's something behind that free $21 gift card for you and your dog. How to make sure your friend lives a long and happy life. Wow. So really, uh, you know, focusing on the emotional side,
Yeah.
everybody loves that, including their dog, not for just them, but it's also for their dog. So the new headline, um, just changing that response rates, I think they originally were somewhere between 4 and 7%,
Yep.
went up to about 8 to 15%.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. In a world of, where I think he says that in there, 1 to 2% is a win.
yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting. A lot of people wouldn't have wanted to touch anything at 4 to 7%, right? I mean, like
Right.
you're like, oh, that's a winner. I'm not going to touch that.
Sure.
Yeah, he changed it and still got
Yeah.
up to 8 to 15. That's
Yeah.
wow. That's impressive.
And his client says the first sales letter Kevin wrote for us, we mailed out for nearly 5 years, and it helped us grow a retail chain from 9 locations to 44. He goes, I jokingly refer to it as the $100 million letter because that's how much annual revenue grew as we expanded.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, Sean, I know you do, a lot of this simple things like that you see when you're working with your clients,
Yep.
um, really just kind of honing in, like, it's like you see it and working with other copywriters out there. It's like, yeah, that's good, but how can we make this a little better so
Yeah.
that we're really changing this to the perspective of the actual buyer, right?
Yeah.
What is it they want? What is it they truly want?
And to really like slow down and like the first example, changing the button from register to continue,
Right.
really thinking about the friction during the user experience, the buyer's journey, whatever you want to
Yep.
call it.
Yeah.
Like really thinking about every word or at least every action step. Like, okay, is this going to cause friction
Mhm.
and like a hesitation,
Yeah.
or is it just going to be smooth and it just keeps them going?
Right.
So I love that idea. Even if you had them still quote register as a new account,
Mhm.
I bet just changing the word to continue
Yes.
and almost, as we would say in sales, assuming the sale, right?
Right.
Where you just say, continue, this is the next step.
Mhm.
That probably alone would have helped. I know they said they actually just let people check out as a guest, which I
Right.
love because I go to sites all the time. It's like, I don't want to make an account right now. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just
Yep.
let me check out. I got things to do. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they
That
still
one
have,
word alone. You're right. I love that. What you just said. It's talking past the sale.
yeah,
Continue. Okay.
yeah.
We've
Register
already
just
assumed the
feels,
sale.
yeah, register just, it does feel, I wonder if that would work on like a, webinar opt-in page, webinar registration page.
Right.
You got a little bit of a description instead of saying register now, you just hit continue.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, Obviously this is deeper in the journey here, but I think that
Right.
could work on a opt-in page as well. Same
Oh,
idea.
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Continue. Just continue.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
move on.
honestly, that's what most people want to do. They just want to
Right.
continue whatever they
Yep.
were doing. It's kind of like putting continued on next page at the bottom of a print letter. Um, I mean, people know that's what you do, but it's just kind of this little embedded
Right.
command that keeps everything moving.
That's right. And I'm kind of like you. I generally like to check out as a guest unless I feel like I may buy again. And then
Right.
then I'm thinking I'm going to have to go through, I don't want to go through the process because maybe maybe I'm getting a special discount or something,
Right.
just because I've been a previous customer.
Yeah.
So, in that case, but generally, yeah, as a first time buy or a one time buy, yeah, I don't, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
just
I
check
mean,
me out as
yeah.
a guest.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be around that long.
That's
It's
right.
like,
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll
You
see.
haven't really earned my
That's right.
making an account yet,
Yeah.
Um, and same reason I'll pay more for the not subscription, especially
Mhm.
the first month. And then I'll go back and turn it into a subscription
Right.
if I liked it. But I'm like, yeah, I know I can cancel it, but I'd rather just not have to think about it. I'll pay
Yeah.
the extra 5%, typically. That's all the discount is.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
so
Well,
make
I
sure you
love
have
what you
those
said.
options.
There's a lesson in all of this is that, and you mentioned it earlier, create less friction.
Yep.
Like the more friction you create is, the more likely you're going to lose a buyer.
Right.
You're going to lose a sale because you create too many things and people don't want to do those things. They don't want to work too hard. So remove the friction. Now you can create friction at the beginning, but it's like we were talking about earlier, you know, um, with the previous example you were talking about, read this before you move forward.
Yeah.
That's okay. That kind of friction's okay because you're at the beginning, because you're weeding out people. You're making sure you've got the right person
Yep.
in your list. But once you get that right person, you don't want to create those obstacles and those barriers. You want to kind of move them through the system as easy as possible.
Yeah. And there's also something, I mean, you just kind of have to you really have to think about it from the buyer's journey, because there's also, there's proven things, especially in direct mail. I haven't seen
Yeah.
this as much online yet. But you remember, like when sometimes you get a subscription offer in the mail, direct mail, and it'll
Mm-hmm.
have like a sticker that you're supposed to pull off and put yes on
Oh
the
yeah.
card that you mail back in.
Right.
And they call that an involvement device, right? So it's a
Sure.
micro commitment that if you peel the sticker off and put it on the thing, now that it seems like it might be friction, but in that case, it's actually a micro commitment.
Sure. Yeah.
To get them to move forward, and it involves them in the piece.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting, like knowing when to use that and when to just making it, where you don't have to do anything.
Oh yeah. That's commitment. Like that goes back to commitment and consistency. Yeah.
Mhm.
Once they do the act of taking that sticker and putting it down, they've reinforced their, commitment to that purchase.
Right.
And and it's like getting that person to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah.
That's part of the process.
Yeah. I think online, the closest thing to that is like clicking a checkbox or something,
Right.
It's where it's
Yep.
like, yeah, I understand this is
Yep.
whatever. And you click the checkbox.
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
people could use that more effectively. You could
Yeah, I
almost
do
do
too.
some takeaway selling there. It's like, yes, I understand that this is not going to solve all my problems, but it will help me with XYZ.
Sure. Yeah.
Something
Absolutely.
like that,
Right.
So, well, cool. That's some good stuff. I'm going to have to apply some of that stuff from Kevin.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah,
let's talk. So this is probably not like super persuasive marketing, but it is interesting, and I haven't really figured out like what's going on here. I read an article about it, and they have some theories. But that
makes good,
is,
for some reason.
yeah. There's like
There's
something going on here from a
Yeah.
psychological persuasion standpoint.
right.
And I saw this in an email I got. So I get this cool email from this company called Charter
Mhm.
that they do charts, right? So, and like, here's a chart they did for how many investments Y Combinator's made in the last 5 years, 2,400. Here's some of their winners. So they got cool stuff like that. It's always very interesting. This is the revenue from the people that publish Harry Potter. Just keeps going up.
Wow.
That was cool. And then the Ryan Reynolds effect. Basically, T-Mobile has just offered to buy Mint Mobile. So he bought it here, and now they're going to pay like 1.2 billion for it or something. So Ryan Reynolds is about to get richer. Um, but
That's
he
why I haven't, we haven't seen him in many movies lately. He's
yeah,
too
he's
busy.
making his money on Mint Mobile, Aviation Gen. He owns a soccer team now. Excuse me,
Right.
football team.
He's busy.
Yeah, he's pretty busy, and he's doing pretty well. But then down here, and they always have this like little section of just kind of random stuff. And the
Sure.
one that caught my eye was this one right here: John Wick, James Bond, Jack Ryan, investigating why the past 70 years of action movie heroes' names all seem to begin with the letter J.
Mm.
Jason Bourne, John
Ah,
Rambo,
wow.
right? And I was like, that's interesting. I never even noticed it. But
Right.
so I was doing some research before the show,
Yeah.
and there was a guy that wrote a big old article on it. And I think he said out of 790 movies, 33% had names that started with J in the action movie kind of genre. John was by far the biggest. 74
Mhm.
people, 74 action heroes were named John. 50 named James. James Bond was, several of those. Jack, as in Jack Bauer, Jack Reacher, Jack. I think this in the Tom Clancy one also
Jack
Jack.
Jack is it,
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
Is it Jack Ryan? I
Is it
can't remember.
John Ryan? Is it John Ryan or Jack Ryan?
Yeah.
I think it's Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Jack Ryan.
It's also Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Mhm.
so I thought that was interesting. And basically, what they came up with was the simple names. One, John is a biblical name, and it has a lot of reassurance and things like that historically.
Right.
So that's part of it. The other thing is that they're simple names, especially when you put them side by side with like the villain names.
Mhm.
The villain
Yeah.
names are a little more complex and eclectic, like Victor and Michael. James and Robert are not so much, but Ivan, Simon, Gabriel. Whereas the hero names tend to be, for the most part, simpler. So
One
there's
syllable. Yeah.
yeah,
They're
and
all
there's
one syllable names.
except
Well,
Michael's on here a few
yeah,
times.
Alex. So that's not.
So yeah, I thought it was interesting, and they think that it's just it's kind of this. It's more relatable,
Mhm.
is the theory, because these are not even like the most popular names. Because this article he went and like compared popular names during those times, and it wasn't that. Um, it's the simplicity of the name. Basically, it
Right.
makes people just it's kind of the average Joe kind of idea.
Sure. Yeah.
Even though interestingly, Joe did not make the list.
I
Joe's
was
there.
just thinking that, Joe, because that's about as simple. And to me, you think of it, Joe. Joe's kind of you think of like all American
Yeah,
Joe,
yeah. So
Joe
it did make the
Namath,
list.
Joe Theismann.
Yeah. Joe did make the list down here. Said, but John
Yeah.
was far and away.
Yeah,
John,
the
James,
top.
and Jack are the top three,
Yeah.
and that made up 33% of all action. I think since like I can't remember how far back it goes. But
That's
over
interesting.
790 movies, 33% of the heroes were John, James, or Jack.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So keep it simple.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing. Like,
Keep the names simple. One syllable, always good.
right. And these are traditionally, like historically, these are what you'd call Christian names.
Right.
So the Honest John theory was another theory. Um, you know,
Just
but
don't give him
it's
a last name Smith. That's
yeah, that's the wrong side of
it's a
the thing.
kiss of death.
Yeah. Yeah, the Matrix goes against that, right? Because that's Neo. It's like a whole
That's
different
right.
thing.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, I just found that interesting. So yeah, the basic idea is there. You want it to be relatable, and
Mhm.
maybe it's just like it's so common that you can't like stereotype the name with somebody else, right?
Right.
Whereas Victor is definitely it feels like a villain name, and it also starts with a V. Probably has something to do with it. Victor
Right.
villain, like
Mhm.
there's some subconscious stuff going on there. Michael, sounds like this clever, smart type name.
First thing that comes to mind is Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but you think of I think of a Michael as like kind of a trickster,
yeah,
but 3-piece suit, the kind of the corporate villain.
sure.
You think of Michael.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so fascinating stuff. I don't know how you use that in marketing persuasion other than just like keep it simple.
If you're writing a fictional story,
yeah, make your hero start with
make
the
your
letter
hero start with
J. Keep a simple name that starts with J.
That's right.
John, James, or Jack, preferably.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good stuff. Any more useless trivia that we can?
Let's talk about Navy SEALs and
Navy SEALs.
Delta Force. So, Jonathan, when you and I were growing up in the 80s, it seemed like everybody talked about Special Forces, Army Special Forces, and Delta Force.
Yeah, that's right.
But now it's all Navy SEALs. Like all the TV shows, all the movies are all Navy SEALs. And I don't know what made me think about it this week, but I was like, why is that? Like, is this a PR thing that I don't know about? Like, what's going on that Navy SEALs are so popular and we don't really hear about Army Special Forces? Of course, you never hear about Air Force, whatever they got. Yeah, Pararescue.
Pararescue. Yeah.
Nobody's ever made a movie about those guys.
Their PR is lacking big time.
Yeah, most people don't even know they exist, which maybe that's good for what they do. So I looked around, I was trying to find some stuff, and there was really nothing definitive. So I went to our friend ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I asked ChatGPT.
Is this version 4?
This is version 4.
Okay.
It says it right at the top. ChatGPT 4.
So that's a little announcement. The version 4 is out as of this
week. If you've got the Pro version, you do have to upgrade to the Pro version, which is $20 a month.
Right.
But yeah, so I said, why are the Navy SEALs more popular than Delta Force in pop culture? That was my prompt. And in 3.2 seconds, faster than a Ferrari can get to 60 miles an hour, it gave me 5 reasons.
Wow.
Number 1, it said publicity and media exposure. The Navy SEALs have been the subject of more movies, books, and documentaries. Things like Lone Survivor, Act of Valor, Zero Dark 30. They were the ones that SEAL Team 6 raided Osama bin Laden's compound,
that's right,
which took them to a whole new level. So that's one. They're just talked about more, and we'll talk about why that is in a second. Number 2 is historical presence. SEALs are about 15 years older than Delta Force.
Right.
They've actually been around longer, which was surprising to me. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either.
And this one I think is probably the most important from a persuasion standpoint. The term Navy SEAL is more memorable.
Yep.
And they said Delta Force has had so many different names over the years. First Special Forces Operation Detachment, Delta, CAG, special, that kind of stuff. So they didn't have a clear name that they just went to over and over.
Sure.
Whereas Navy SEALs have always been Navy SEALs since inception.
That's right.
But the reason I think you hear so much more about SEALs is because they are not as classified as Delta Force.
Right.
Delta Force has a higher level of classification than SEALs do.
Yep.
So there's more access to the SEALs, which means more people can research and interview and those kind of things to make movies and write books and all those kind of things. So that's number 5 is like Delta Force's secretive nature. Delta Force is highly secretive, classified unit. Although Black Hawk Down was about Delta Force. That was
it? I can't. Yeah, I remember. It's been so long since I've seen that.
That was actually a Delta. I didn't realize that either. In fact, I bet if you polled most people, they would say Black Hawk Down was about Navy SEALs, just because it's so prolific.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, who runs the marketing for Navy SEALs? And I didn't know if it would find me like a marketing agency, but apparently it's all done internally by the Navy. to help promote awareness and things like that. So it's not
Well,
like
I
any.
think you brought up a good point that if it's so declassified,
Mhm.
where a lot of these guys come out from that and they're able to share their story
Yeah, you got Jocko Willnick. You got
and use that story for marketing purposes. I mean,
right.
to their credit, I mean,
Yeah,
why not? I mean, so
yeah. You got several SEALs that have come out and been authors and
yeah,
speakers and things like that, and I think that's really helped. And then just like I said, accessibility to fiction authors or even authors who want to just create movies around an event
yeah.
like Lone Survivor and things like that. Um,
I
so
remember when I was in the army, I used to love to read. I think it was Richard Marcinko, who has since passed away, but he was like one of the longtime members of SEAL Team 6 back in the day. I mean, that was
mhm,
like I think probably back in the 80s or so, but I used to love to read his stories. And like you
yeah,
said, because they're not classified, he shared a lot. He probably didn't share everything,
right,
but he was able to share enough that like, wow, so, they're able to tell their story in a way that some of these others, and I think that's going well for them, along with the fact that, like you mentioned earlier, I think it's an interesting point that they have kept their name. I think Navy SEAL is very simple to remember.
yeah.
And if you don't change it, it becomes very memorable over time and
And
brandable.
it's interesting because I'm sure most people could not tell you what SEAL stands for.
No, exactly.
Um, but it's
It's
what
like,
is it? Sea, air, land, something like that
yeah,
is what the acronym is.
right,
Um, where Delta Force, doesn't really have a specific meaning. It's actually the letter D, as
right.
in the alphabet, the military alphabet. Um, so yeah, and obviously Delta's different than Army Special Forces. I mean, it's a tier above Special Forces actually,
Right.
the Green Berets, because there
Yep.
was in the 80s. I think there was a famous book that kind of came out in the 80s about the Green Berets.
Hmm.
Um, I think it was like a Vietnam or maybe
Yeah.
maybe it was Panama or some one of those
Hmm.
80s conflicts or something. Um, but I think it's a catchier name
Yeah.
is a big part of it, and then just more access. So
Right. Yep.
I guess the lesson there is, hey, if you wanna be seen and make sure your name's catchy, and then also make yourself available.
Yeah. Visible.
Yeah.
Right. More
Yep.
movies, probably more movies about Navy SEALs in the last 20 to 30 years than probably any other special forces or elite, you know, or, section of service. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, back in like I said in the 80s, Rangers were popular,
yeah, but
special
it's
force,
like,
but that was
yeah.
mostly because of the Rambo, I think,
Hmm.
craze
Hmm.
um,
Yep.
from the 80s and early 90s and stuff. But yeah, man, the SEALs have just taken over in a
Yeah.
big way. Anything you want to see Chat GPT do before we go? Anything you
Man,
want to put to the
I'm
test?
curious about so you've been testing it out the last couple of days or
Yeah, I just got it 2 days ago, I guess.
okay.
So one of the guys I follow,
Hmm.
um, he he's using it, and he sent out an email the morning it came out because he's actually over in like Ireland, I think is where he's at right now. He travels all over the place. Um, so he was, a few hours ahead. I was like, oh, it must be out. So I went and checked, and you have to
Yeah,
have the paid version. So I signed up real quick and got
sure.
access. And yeah, I was able to really. I was working on a couple projects, and it
Hmm.
really helped me get unstuck on a couple things.
Right.
Um, I still don't think it does copy as well, but it certainly is getting much better at um, like non-sales copy stuff. Like if you wanted to write a report or a white paper or things like that, I think it's getting better. I did have it write an ad,
Hmm.
and it did much better than the previous version. So if you have the pro version or the plus version, everything's plus now if you paid for it, right? All the streaming services, it's like all plus. Somebody needs to come up with a new word, but so Here's
That says
the
3.5, by the way.
yeah. So
You're on the by
yeah,
default. You're on the old. Okay.
yeah. So it automatically, when you sign on, it automatically defaults to 3.5.
Okay.
Um, and here's what's interesting: they show you the difference. It says reasoning is a 3 out of 5, speed is a 2 out of 5, and consciousness or conciseness, not consciousness, conciseness is 1 out of 5. Right?
Sure.
If you go to GPT-4,
Wow.
that jumps to 5 out of 5 on reasoning, 2 out of 5 on speed, and 4 out of 5 on conciseness. So, and they cap it. You can only do 50 messages every 4 hours right now. So, because so many people are using it.
Oh, I see.
But it's still plenty. I'm not using it that much. I'm not like spamming the site or anything like that. I guess that's for people to keep robots and stuff out of it.
So is that their permanent model? $20 a month?
I think it is right now. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And this has changed even the last couple of days. Like it started out at 100 messages every 4 hours. So I think at peak times this changes how much you can use it per 4 hours.
Sure.
The nice thing is if you do plus, then it's always up. Like you get front of the line access when everybody else, it might be down for the free version or overcrowded. Yeah. So yeah, is there anything you want to ask it or have it right?
You think about this.
Here, let me help you out. There's somebody sent me awesome ChatGPT prompts. Oops, now I got to sign back into ChatGPT. So somebody sent me this. These are, I went on Amazon today, and there are dozens and dozens of prompt books now on Amazon for ChatGPT.
Really?
Like, literally just books full of prompts and how to prompt.
Okay.
So like, and it's interesting. Most of them start with, I want you to act as, I want you to pretend you are, that kind of thing. So I want you to act as a travel guide. I want you to act as a plagiarism checker. I want you to act as an advertiser. So that it kind of gets into the, I guess,
this
the
is awesome.
Yeah.
Where do you find this? GitHub.
GitHub is where somebody found this.
Okay.
But if these kind of things they're just popping up everywhere. Like I said, there's books, there's all kinds of stuff now. Yeah. Football commentator. It says football matches, so I'm guessing that means soccer, not motivational coach, screenwriter, novelist, cybersecurity specialist, recruiter, life coach. So yeah, so anything you can think of. So what do you got something you want to send to a client or anything?
I'm trying to think, right? Let's see. I was thinking sports related, but then you got me switching gears now to business. So
yeah, just remember it still doesn't have well, let's ask it. Can you talk about
that's right, because it's up until
September.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yeah, it's not going to do like current sports stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Write me a headline for
if any of our viewers have a question they want me to ask ChatGPT, I can throw it in your comments, and I can do that.
Oh, here's one. Let's go back, because this relates to some industry stuff. I'm curious about this because this is industry related topic around electric vehicles.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Because I had this conversation today with some guest on my Composites Weekly platform, and it was about the uses of composites. What are the primary benefits of composite vehicles? I'm sorry, composite materials for electric vehicles.
I'm going to say you are first. I'm going to give it like you are a world class engineer.
Yes.
Both composite materials and electric vehicles. Right.
Mhm.
So, what's the actual question you wanted to ask?
I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. What would be the primary benefit of composite materials when it comes to new electric vehicles? I'm just curious what the knowledge base is.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I can provide. So, as an AI language model, I'm not an engineer per se, but I can provide information on the subject. The primary benefit of composite materials in the context of electric vehicles is their ability to significantly reduce the overall weight. Lightweight glass fiber reinforced plastics, GFRP, and other advanced composites can replace heavier metal components in a vehicle's structure, resulting in substantial weight reduction. This reduced weight offers several advantages for electric vehicles. One, improved energy efficiency. Two, enhanced performance.
That's awesome.
It expands all of these out. Reduced battery size and cost, increased payload capacity, environmental benefits. In summary, the primary benefit of composites is significant weight reduction, what leads to improved energy efficiency, performance, and other advantages.
Yeah.
So
Interesting about the battery, because that was a primary topic of discussion. Reducing the weight of the batteries or the size of the batteries and cost.
right. So if you can make the overall vehicle lighter, you can use a smaller battery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I haven't found anything yet that it doesn't know about.
I like how it prefaces, while I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
What does it say at the beginning?
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer per se.
Yeah, I think because I said it directly, I said it. Whereas if I had said you act
You
as,
are. Yeah. You
I
said
should have said you're acting as, and
as.
it probably
Okay.
because I think that's how this phrases it, right? I want you to act
Mhm.
as,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
Um.
That's good.
So yeah, I could also do like, I want you to act like a like famous copywriter Gary Halbert and write me 5 headlines for a new. What we want him to write? What kind of product? To a golf club.
Yeah.
There. That's his gold club. Golf club. Gary Halbert and a gold club could get very interesting. That helps reduce.
Use trainer. Golf club. Yeah. Golf club trainer.
Channeling the style of the legendary copywriter Gary Halbert. Here are 5 headlines for a new golf club trainer. Unlock your true golf potential. Discover the revolution golf tournament shapes strokes of your game like magic. Transform your swing overnight. Secret golf club trainer used by pros to achieve record-breaking performance on the green. Master the art of golf with a breakthrough trainer that guarantees to add power, precision, and consistency to every swing you take. Revealed at last, the game-changing golf club trainer that's turning weekend golfers into unstoppable forces on the course. Sounds pretty good. Achieve golf greatness in just weeks with a cutting-edge golf club trainer that's shattering records and leaving competitors in the dust. Those are all better than they were a month ago, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it even tells you what it's doing. These headlines are designed to evoke curiosity, excitement, and a sense of urgency in potential customers, following Gary Halbert's persuasive and captivating writing style.
Oh, I love that. That's
So,
fantastic.
um, so let's see what it does if we change the copywriter. Now, tend. Now, let's see. Now write 5 more, pretending that you
John Carlton.
are Carlton.
There you go. That's amazing. Ooh, I like that. That's quietly creating champions.
Yeah.
Nice.
So then I want to do one more. 5 in the
That's one of my
style.
favorites.
All right, 5 in the style of Gary Ben. So Gary Bensavinga is, he was very he was the least hypey kind of writer of any copywriter ever.
Sure, right.
Right. He's just very almost takeaway selling, very low key, but he has tons of proof in his stuff. So let's see what he says here. I like how it says channeling. That's new. I haven't seen it say that before.
That is good. I'm not a follower of Gary Bensavinga, so
we'll have to do some shows on him. He's one of the greatest living copywriters by far.
So what is it?
I mean, these don't look a lot different. So I'm not sure if it's really hitting his style or not. Yeah, we should analyze his olive oil campaign. He wrote it. It's still running right now. That's why I say that. But he wrote this campaign for olive oil.
Wow.
That is just, it's been around for 3 or 4 years now. It just keeps going. So yeah, I think the quality of the headlines from ChatGPT 4 are definitely better than what they were in ChatGPT 3.5. So it's interesting. If I asked, let's see, let's go back to the first prompt here. Okay, we're going to do a new chat. Let's see, copy. Let's do a new chat using the default model and see what we get. Or if it just pulled those because I'm in the same account.
Yeah, probably so.
I don't know if that's going to be a how much different are those? Those look pretty much the same, don't they?
They do.
So revolutionize your golf game. They are different. Are you tired of inconsistent golf shops? I think these are better. They are a little bit better.
You think so?
A little bit more curiosity in them. So yeah. So I don't know. Oh, sorry, that was not these. Yeah. So I mean, in my experience, it's a little bit better. It definitely, I understand it has more like knowledge to draw from. So I think more obscure stuff is going to continue to, be able to be used for this.
Sure.
But the way I've found to use it right now is, let's say I have a big project I want to do. Let me start at 4. And I would say, I'm creating a marketing campaign, a trade show in the composites industry. What do I need to include? Make me a detailed list. So no telling how long this will be. What's amazing about this is like now. So here's the good part: pre-event promotion, press releases, email marketing, social media. See what else it says: blog post, event website, dedicated landing page for the event. And then number 4 is eye-catching booth design, marketing materials.
This could be used for anything, though. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, this is, and then so you can kind of get the overall outline of what you need.
right.
And then what you do is you go in and you're like, okay, so let's say 3D, right? I'm just going to stop that for now, but I'm going to say,
Yeah.
great. If we say great, right? Just say, write me, write 3D. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. What I was able to do on a different project is I went section by section after I got the outline. So I saved the outline into a Word or Google Doc, and then I went section by section and just had it write each section as it went down, and it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so stop generating blog post in section 3 part. There we go. Title: Discover the future of composites at trade show name. Join us at booth number, introduction. We're excited to announce that your company name will be exhibiting at trade show name, the leading trade show in the composite industry, taking place on event dates at event location. Our team is eager to showcase our innovative solutions and connect with professionals from around the world. In this blog post, we'll provide a sneak peek of what you can expect from us at the event, including product demos, expert insights, and unique networking opportunities. And that sounds pretty good for an intro.
No, it does. Yeah.
Unveiling our latest innovations. So then it starts breaking it down, by section by section.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss our blah, blah, blah. Engage with India. So yeah, it took each of those things from the intro, started writing it.
That's good.
And this is without any if you gave it a little more context on your company.
Yeah, because you could get into all sorts of things. Like, I mean, you could dig deeper into composites.
Right.
You could be additive manufacturing, 3D printing, carbon fiber.
Right. So what you would do is you would take this, you'd put it in a Google Doc, and then you just start expanding on it. Right.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. I started expanding on it, and then I'd get to a point and I'd be like, oh, it'd be really good here would be a quote to introduce this section. Right.
Right.
So I might say, give me a quote to intro. Give me a quote from a respected person in the industry to introduce.
Yeah.
So it came up with, we are at the dawn of a new era in the composites industry where innovation and sustainability will shape the future of materials and their applications across various sectors. Dr. Jane Smith, renowned material scientist and composite industry expert. No. So I'm curious, is this a real person?
I don't know Dr. Jane Smith. So
doesn't sound real, does it?
It sounds fake, but who knows? I mean, Dr. Jane Smith, that sounds pretty generic.
Yeah, so let's look it up.
Yeah. Dr. Jane
This
Smith,
is the part,
material scientist.
Jane Smith, technical manager, rapid diagnostics at Abbott. Yeah, so I don't see that.
I'm going to say
that person.
Yeah.
So the other thing we'd do is we could actually say, look,
from my
this needs to be a real, actual quote. Okay. Interesting. So we stumped it.
Okay.
So it told me where to find them, but yeah, it couldn't actually find it. So
Right.
it's interesting because I asked for quotes in another one, and it was able to pull all names I recognize, but it was a much bigger industry. So yeah, so that's
interesting that it defaults to making up shit.
Right. So you do have to be careful with that, right? So like if I were to take this in quotes and do a Google search, it would probably come up blank, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you do have to fact check. Yeah, no results for this quote. So it's not
like
perfect.
Me in college on those blue book tests.
Yeah. So yeah, be careful what you do, but it does. The big thing here is like this would save you, or a writer would save you, a good hour just coming up with the framework of a good blog post. Now you just go in and tweak it and drop in some statistics or specifics. And like I said, if you knew the specifics ahead of time, you could give it a little bit more context, because we gave it no context really for this.
Exactly. I mean,
then it's going to provide a lot more.
Yeah, you can keep digging deeper and deeper and provide more info that would probably assist you along the way. That's interesting. I'm going to have to check this out.
Yeah, so it's we're safe from world takeover right now, I think.
Considering its last update was 2021.
Yes. So, but it's great. I mean, if you're doing research papers in history or all that kind of stuff, man, it really knows all that. And it does know famous people. So I know we're getting long on time, but we'll just pretend
if we're talking about bank bailouts this week, we're probably not going to get a whole lot.
Right. So let's do a new chat. Write a 500 word blog post about performance in the style of Brendan. And I'll do this next thing after it finishes, but so if the more, like if you can give it a well-known name, it's going to, there's more obviously Brendan Burchard's put out so much content on the internet that he can, it can really go in and find his stuff. It's just amazing to me that all this stuff is indexed and, it can just pull it in seconds. And this looks like, basically what he would say. And this is interesting because, a lot of people are starting to use this as almost like a search. So who is Brendan? So this is actually, to me, like this is kind of cool because it's actually a lot of times it's more succinct than what you get from Google for the same search. So it's writing out, it says about his books. It says he wanted to finish what it, that's funny. I stopped it earlier. Now it's like trying to finish. I've never seen it do that. It's trying to finish what it started before. It's like, so that's funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
This is great though. I love this because you can do some bios on people that you're writing about.
Yeah. Like if you wanted to do, you could definitely like do some research if you have a podcast guest or, things like that, where you could really dive in. And I mean, again, you probably want to fact check for now, for sure. Although if you didn't, it'd be funny for a podcast. Is it true that whatever? No, where'd you hear that?
I mean, these are great too. You could prompt it for questions. I mean, I think, these are all I mean, there's a whole lot of things you can use this for, like
Yeah.
questions for podcast guests on the topic of Bloom,
Right.
if you're trying to think of something.
Yeah. So,
I would say, yeah, that's good. So for our listeners,
yeah. So,
Sean's saying, I'm interviewing Brendan Bouchard on a podcast. What are 5 questions I should ask that would be new and unique to my show?
yeah. I don't know if these would be that new or unique, but
It's kind of an often overlooked habit that separates a high.
but it is giving me 5 questions to start with, right?
Right.
So, and it's actually written in a conversational way, the way I would use it on a podcast, right? It's like this first one. In your experience, what is a common but often overlooked habit that separates the highest performers from the rest? How can our listeners begin to implement this habit in their daily lives? So it literally wrote it as I would ask it as a podcast host.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Another one is, I mean, these are pretty good. I mean, the thing I like about 4, it seems it's much more conversational. Even if it's not like, I don't know the right word, but like, it definitely just feels a little smarter than it did a version ago. So that's enough on that. Jonathan disappeared for a second.
Yeah.
So so I think it's more conversational and it's getting a little smarter.
Yeah.
Version.
I bet you could tweak that and make it like controversial questions too, if you wanted to really stir the pot, so to speak, in your
it's all about being creative with the prompts, really.
Yeah, right.
Because the thing is, you can't really piss it off. You can't offend it. So you can really push the boundaries of what you wanted to ask. I mean, these are, just doing it on the fly here. It's we're doing pretty, top level stuff, but yeah, you could definitely, go through the prompt, find some different prompts. And like I said, if you go to Google and just put in ChatGPT for prompts,
you'll get a list of,
there's just all kinds of stuff, coming out. There's 10 ways, right now everybody's just talking about, is it better? Is it not? So if you just did ChatGPT prompt without the 4, there it is, prompts. I mean, this is actually becoming its own little cottage industry. Is the prompt industry is becoming its own little stuff.
Yeah.
That's the one I was at. Here's 160 GPT prompts you can't miss to try in 2023. Let's look at those. Yeah, so prompts for business, prompts for marketing, prompts for content.
Wow.
So prompts for teachers. That's interesting. Create a list of 5 types of data that teachers can collect to monitor student learning progress. Create a quiz with 5 multiple choice questions that access students' understanding of concept being taught. That's pretty cool.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, prompts for sales. Yeah, cold emails.
Email for a potential customer. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. What are some creative ways to generate? Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty common sense stuff, but if you're getting stuck, there's no shortage of prompts to help you continue, figuring out. But you really just have to get in there and play with it.
Right.
And I found that you take the stuff it gives you, throw it in a Google Doc, and as you kind of work with it, you're like, oh, I'm missing this. And you go ask it for that, and then it'll find that. And then your job is almost like editor now to go through and smooth it out.
Yeah.
Ask it to find some statistics, quotes, whatever to kind of beef up the writing.
Yeah.
As you go through it. So it is kind of a collaboration back and forth is the way I've been able to use it best.
That's good. So no, that's worth the upgrade. just what
Yeah,
we
and
looked at.
it's certainly worth $20 a month to me because
Yeah.
if it saves me
For what you're doing.
just on research alone, instead of really kind of sorting through all the trash that you get in a Google search, that's where this is really taking, I think, some of Google's market share.
Right.
Is that you don't have to filter through all the kind of the spam sites that are out there.
Absolutely.
So
good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend, if you're listening, probably should have mentioned this earlier, that you watch the video on the show page.
Yeah.
On episode 301. Along, at this point where we're talking about ChatGPT, so you'll see a lot of the prompts and things that we're entering in.
Yeah, and how fast it sends stuff out.
Absolutely. It's good stuff. But yeah, we'll have all of this on episode 301 at Persuasion by the Pint. Sean, it's been fun, man. To all of our listeners, you can find us persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your podcast platforms, Stitcher Radio, iHeart, Spotify, again, YouTube, your Facebook channels over at Persuasion by the Pint. So obviously, thanks for listening. And
by the way, our next 2 episodes, we've got guests for the next 2 episodes. So we've got
a little teaser for next week. Yeah,
Ad Zombies is coming up, and then I'm following this young copywriter from kind of Eastern Europe.
Yeah,
and he's doing some cool stuff. So he's going to come on, I think, the 31st. So the next 2 weeks we'll have some really cool guests. In the copywriting space.
I'm excited about the Ad Zombies. I've checked out some of their stuff. It's cool. It's pretty cool. They're kind of unique. So they've got a unique spin on how they're doing things. And
so make sure you tune in to the next episode.
Yep.
Absolutely. So
302 next week. So we'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Sean, it's been fun, man.
Yep. See ya.
See ya.